house on the left-hand side of the tram, so try to stick with me if you can. The second house on our left, this is the two-story beige one with the pillars. That was the home of the Gabby, but it's also where Jimmy Stewart lived with a giant invisible rabbit in the movie Harvey. Next on our left, the purplish house, that's where the Munsters lived in the 1960s, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Next on our left, the yellow house with a stone was the home of Susan, played by Terry Hatcher. Also where the Hardy Boys lived, also where Lassie lived. After that on your left, the gray house with the white trim was the home of Lynette Scavo. Also where Ronald Reagan's character lived in the movie Bedtime for Bonzo. Now, Desperate Housewives had a very unique agreement with Universal Studios. During the 8 years they were on the air, nothing else could film here. It was in their contract. Even in the summer, they'll take a few months off. No movie, no commercial, no music video, nothing. For 8 long years, this street was exclusively used by ABC's Desperate Housewives. After they wrapped up their run about 6 years ago, this has now become the most popular filming location on the entire lot. Now, the house at the very end of the street was the home of Edie Britt, later the character Renee, played by Vanessa Williams. However, if you're a big Desperate Housewives fan, you might notice the house looks a little bit different. There's been some renovation on this house because over the last few months, we've had a new NBC sitcom filming there called Abby's. It's going to be premiering very soon. If you check out Abby's and her house looks slightly familiar, that's because it was once Edie Britt's home. Now, the last house on the street, Edie Britt / Abby's house, is the only practical set on this street. That means that is the only house that has enough space inside for them to hang the lights, bring in the equipment, the cast, the crew, and shoot the scenes for that house actually inside that house. All the other houses on the street, they're all fake. You can't film inside of them. There's not enough room. You can't bring in all the equipment and the crew to film a scene inside one of these houses. So if you see Susan step out of her house, walk next door to Lynette's house, knock on the door, and step inside, if you wanted to continue that scene inside the house, you'd have to head to our front lot because the interiors of these homes were built in our sound stages. Now, the blue house on our left was the home of Bree Van de Kamp. Besides Desperate Housewives,